You're all gonna ignore the fact that I've worn this sweater already in a video. It's like my favorite sweater for this time of year. Um, I've got my computer, I've got my handy dandy notebook, and I've got a warmed cup of wassail. So I'm ready to talk about the anticipated reads I have for the year 2025. Now I don't exactly stay up to date on new releases and things like that. I have a hard time keeping track of things I like, even if it's by people who I genuinely like reading books by. And so every time we get to the end of the year, I have to go, is this person putting out a new book next year? Let me check. And turns out quite a few. So I'm actually going to do this in no particular order, but I am going to do first the books that I know I've pre-ordered. I pre-ordered them this past year, and either through them being a late pre-order, like I pre-ordered in like July, or the publication date kept getting pushed back, they are now coming out in 2025. So the first on this list is Fable for the End of the World. Fable for the End of the World is by Ava Reed, who I love. She's like an instant buy for me. I love all of her books. The only one I haven't read yet is Juniper and Thorn, and it's not for lack of trying. I just haven't had the time. But Fable for the End of the World is kind of described as The Last of Us meets The Ballad of Songbird and Snakes. And it's a sapphic romance. It's the first sapphic romance from Ava Reed, so I'm very excited about that. The cover art is gorgeous, and this one is already pre-ordered. It's coming in as soon as it publishes. I'll get it, and this one should publish March 4th. The Ava Reed has another book coming out this year too, because the sequel to A Study in Drowning comes out in, I believe, August? Yeah, August 5th is when A Theory of Dreaming comes out, and it's the sequel to A Study in Drowning. Now, I think there are some world building things that are confusing in A Study in Drowning, but the romance was very, very good. The vibes and aesthetics were fantastic. It's one of the few books I've read recently that was kind of built on vibes, but it worked. So I'm interested to see how this book goes, because the sequel expands on a very small world and it adds a lot more to it. So I don't know. I'm just kind of interested to see where she's going to go from there. The next book is also one I've already pre-ordered. It's ready to go, on its way to me, and is by another like Insta buy author, Stephen Graham Jones. It's The Buffalo Hunter, and it's written in letters, so, or a diary. It's written in a diary. I just like anything that's like slightly epistolary, you know. But it's a diary from 1912, where a pastor wrote a diary about his experiences, and it basically is like a vampire, but like indigenous story based. I don't know. I don't want to know a lot about it. I know that Stephen Graham Jones has done werewolves before, and he's basically done zombies before. He's done all kinds of different horror tropes, so why not vampires? And I love that it's historical fiction. That's going to be so fun. That one comes out March 18th, so at least I don't have to wait long for it. One of the books I know the least about that I have already pre-ordered because I know I'm going to read it eventually is Oathbound by Tracy Deonn. It is the third book in the Legendborn cycle, which I don't know if she said how many books it's supposed to be, but I don't care. I'll read all of them. I need to reread Legendborn. I love that book. It was a buddy read me and Gina did many, many years ago. We tried to buddy read the second one, but life got kind of crazy back in 2022. So I need to reread the first two before March 4th when this one comes out, because I'm going to want to read it. I already have like just religiously avoided spoils for this series, and so I don't want to wait any longer when this one comes out. I just know it's going to be good because her writing is so good and the world building was so great in that first one, and the part of the second one that I was able to read. Again, it wasn't her fault for me not reading it. I literally just didn't have the time. But this one is coming in, pre-ordered, ready to go. The next one's going to be kind of weird, but stick with me. It is Bodies of Art, Bodies of Labor by Kate Beaton. It publishes on February 4th. I discovered Kate Beaton, like many people my age, through Hark a Vagrant, and I read Ducks, the one about working on like the oil fields in Canada, and it was such an impactful graphic novel. Like, it's such a serious topic to get that kind of illustration treatment, and so I know this one is gonna just absolutely eat I'm going to go ahead and read you the description of this so you kind of know what it is. Um, in Bodies of Art, Bodies of Labor, Kate Beaton explores connections between class, literature, and art from Cape Breton Island. In this thought-provoking book, Beaton addresses the often overlooked impact of class on the Canadian arts scene. The book highlights the reality that people from poor or working class backgrounds face significant barriers to becoming artists, limiting their ability to share their stories and contributing to the collective culture. This lack of representation in art, music, and literature can empower or stereotype, edify or diminish, or worse, erase entire communities. Beaton emphasizes that if working class and poor people do not write themselves into stories, others will, often with damaging results. I'm thrilled with that because I have to imagine it's very similar to stories that come from here, where I'm surrounded by small towns and small stories. But if you don't write yourself into it, like she says, someone else will. So I just know that that book is going to hit really good for me. So I've already pre-ordered it. It comes out on February 4th. The next book that also comes out on February 4th that I have already pre-ordered, I pre-ordered it like in January of last year, is Under the Same Stars by Libba Bray. It's a 1940s like historical fiction novel. And also there's 1980s and 2020. Like there's multiple stories interacting here. I don't know what to expect. I'm trying to like lower my expectations because I want this to be really, really good because I really like Libba Bray's writing. And I'm hoping that this is like a nice little thing to get in the mail in February and I'll actually, find time to read it. The next books I'm going to basically consider the pre-orders. I haven't pre-ordered them yet, but not for nothing. I usually wait around until January because Barnes& and Noble will do their like discounted pre-order sale. So I have like a wish list in Barnes& and Noble that's all the pre-orders. That way I can just throw them in my cart and be ready to go. The ones I've already said, they were part of those when they did it in January, when they did it in, I think, July. These will be new ones. So everything here I know very little about, and I haven't technically ordered them yet, but they are on my radar, and I am planning to read them at least within the next 2 years. Give me some grace. God, that slaps. For the for the folks at home, if you don't know what wassail is, it's amazing. It's just black tea and pineapple and orange, lemon, and like clove, allspice, and cinnamon. Like it's winter in a cup. God, so good. I haven't been feeling great. It's a thing where teachers just get sick over winter break. We can't help it. All right, let's talk about these books. So, first up in my, again, non-exhaustive list of books I want to pre-order is Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. This comes out on January 14th. Now, Grady Hendrix and I have kind of a mixed relationship. I've really liked some of his stuff, and I've really not liked some of his stuff, but this feels like it's going to be good. It's basically like a home for girls who get into certain circumstances. Um, and there's like some occult witchcraft stuff as well. So I think it's going to be kind of like the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, but maybe more fulfilling than that one was. And maybe that's a me problem, but I didn't find that one good. This one feels like it might be better. The next one still has no cover, and I've been following this one weirdly enough for about a year and a half. I saw some art of it on Instagram and immediately had to look up the book and put it on my TBR. It's finally supposed to be published this year, September 9th. It's called The Maiden and Her Monster by Maddie Martinez. It's a sapphic fantasy involving a golem. I am very intrigued by that. You don't get a lot of golem-based YA fantasy. So I'm going to read the description for this. It's very short. When a young woman is forced to venture into a cursed forest to capture the monster hunting the girls of her village, she discovers a disgraced golem ready to confess, but only if she agrees to help fulfill an ancient promise first. A bargain that unravels a much more dangerous threat to her people and forces her to face growing feelings for the very creature she was taught to fear. So it's giving Frankenstein a little bit. I'm here for it. We'll see. Again, I haven't got a cover, but I imagine it's going to be pretty good. And I really hope it is published next year because I'm excited to read it. The next Finley Donovan book comes out in March. Again, March 4th is a big publication day. Finley Donovan Digs Her Own Grave. That is the 5th book in the Finley Donovan series. They found at the end of the 5th book something that is going to probably, I think, spurn on like the next few Finley Donovans. Like they've ended the first set of mystery things, and now we've set into the next path. So I think it's maybe not jumped the shark, but it's like ramping up to do that. But as long as my sister likes these books, I'm going to pre-order these books because getting her to read is a chore. But this one comes out in March. In a very Christmas season way, I have a thrill of hope about this next one. It's Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. It's coming out on March 18th. I don't know. I've been expecting this book since literally Catching Fire came out and we got hints at to what Haymitch's games were like. So now with the expectation that we're gonna get that, like in Suzanne Collins's words and not like someone writing a fan fiction, I am nervous. But considering how well Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes was done, maybe I don't need to be too nervous. But either way, like I'm ready. I'm ready. I haven't pre-ordered it yet, but again, it's up here. Ugh. I'm excited that we get 2 new T. Kingfisher books this year, though. I'm looking both of those up real quick. We have What Stalks the Deep, which is the 3rd in the Sworn Soldier series, which follows Alex Easton, who is a soldier, going through honestly some terrible shit. They keep stuff keeps happening. There's funguses and nightmares, and I have to imagine this one has to do with some sort of like sea creature or lake monster or something. Maybe we're gonna have the Loch Ness monster in this one. But either way, I always really love these. They're really short and sweet and to the point. They're very similar to, and I'll go ahead and talk about this one, another short series, like novella series that I'm also looking forward to the next installment of, and that is A Mouthful of Dust by Ning Vo, which comes out October 7th. And that is in the Singing Hills cycle, which follows Chi on their many misadventures. I love this series because you can just kind of jump in wherever you want to because it's non-linear. It's segments in this person's life. And I don't know, they have very similar feelings to me, these kind of short vignettes into this person's experience. Now, The Sworn Soldier does build on itself a little bit more narratively. Things in the second book were referenced like that happened in the first, so I'm sure the third will pick up from that one. But you really could start wherever you wanted to. And then back to T. Kingfisher. What Stalks the Deep comes out on September 30th, and Hemlock and Silver comes out on August 19th. And Hemlock and Silver, I'm trying to find the information for it. I don't want to get it wrong. Yeah, Hemlock and Silver is apparently a dark Snow White retelling. That's all I really know. There's like a healer named Anya. She's supposed to save Princess Snow. And now there's, a taciturn bodyguard, a narcissistic cat, and a late Renaissance understanding of the scientific method. I'm here for it. T. Kingfisher's so good at mixing like fantasy, horror, and comedy like nobody else. So I know this is going to be good. Okay, so the next 2. There is a prequel to Wicked coming out by Gregory Maguire called Elfie, and it comes out March 25th. Now, I'm nervous about that because I don't really want more information about Elfie. I think I got just the right amount in Wicked and the subsequent novels, but I also haven't read the sequel series about Elphaba's granddaughter, so maybe I need to finish that first and then say, no, I don't want this. But I'm going to get it anyway. I'm going to read Elfie. Why not? I'm also going to get the graphic novel that's coming out. Now, it's only part 1. Mainly because I am decidedly intrigued about how they're gonna treat some of the scenes in Wicked. I mean, if you know, you know. I've talked about it already on the channel. Like, there's some scenes in here that maybe don't need the treatment. Though I do argue that if they're gonna do Wicked, the book, it needs to be like an HBO miniseries. It needs to get the Game of Thrones treatment. Because if you're not doing it all the way, you might as well not be doing it. But the graphic novel comes out on March 11th, and we'll see. Another book I'm really looking forward to is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by Victoria Schwab. That's coming out in June, on June 10th. It takes place in 3 different timelines and 3 different women buried in the same spot. I think this is going to end up being devastating if it's anything like Addie LaRue, because Addie LaRue tore me up. I'm intrigued to see what this one does as well. I feel like there's a vampire aspect to it, but I don't know how like legit that is or not, but we'll see. There's a book coming out on February 13th called Hungerstone and it is a, like, retelling of Carmilla, which is the female, like, Dracula book that's pretty famous. Again, I read that a couple years ago. It is what it is, but anything that makes it gayer is acceptable, and this does sound interesting for what it's worth. Might as well. So there's actually 2 books coming out by the next author as well. I read So Let Them Burn this year. I listened to it on audiobook, and it's about 2 sisters, and there's dragon riding and, like, war and all that, and it ends kind of on a crazy plot twist cliffhanger situation. And the second book, This Ends in Embers. Ooh, that is hard to say. This Ends in Embers. Comes out on February 4th, and it's just a sort of like the wrapping up of that story. It's a nice little duology. But Camilla Cole, who wrote that series, has a book coming out called An Arcane Inheritance, and that comes out on October 7th, and it says on Goodreads, in this adult speculative dark academia thriller, a 21-year-old starting as a college freshman is haunted by a sense of deja vu that turns deadly when she finds a message scrawled on her skin, written in her own hand, that simply says, "Remember." I think we might be overdoing dark academia a little bit, but I'm willing to try because I liked the voice that Camilla Cole had in So Let Them Burn. I think she's got some really interesting ways to say things, and I don't know, a dark academia thriller is so much better than just dark academia. I'm not in it to find out, like, what the weird society in the school is doing. Like, what do you remember doing that you don't remember doing, you know? The last book on this list, I think, the last book so far on this list is the second in the Blood and Tea duology by Hafsa Faizal, and that is A Steeping of Blood. I don't even have a cover for that yet, but I can't wait to read it. September 25th, I'm going to be reading it, because I read A Tempest of Tea in about 2 days. I thought it was absolutely, like, so good. It didn't make it on my favorites this year, but, like, it was a very solid story, and everybody always comes to these, like, heist books comparing them to the OG heist books, but this one really did some unique and new things that I was not expecting. And it's actually my first Faizal read at all. I've never read her before, and I thought this was really, really good. So I'm looking forward to seeing how she wraps it up in the duology. I hope you enjoyed that. Those are books that I'm going to be pre-ordering. I can list them in the description according to their release dates if you want some more information. If you have anything that's similar to the ones that I suggested that you think I might like, please suggest them in the comments. Like I said, I'm not very up to date on things as far as, like, new releases, so, like, I'm always looking for hints and help with that. But that's it. I'm gonna finish this and then probably stare at my Christmas tree a while, because I don't want to take it down yet, but it's getting there. Y'all want to see something cool? Give me a second. First of all, I went to Walmart. Everything's like 75% off, so I got these. Like, I got like 6 more of these for my Christmas tree because I've got one and I thought it looked so pretty with the lights on it. So I got more for next year, and I got a tree skirt. Oh my god, look at it. It's a sparkly sequin rainbow, but it also can be holographic. Oh man, I have a problem.